After taking a bye in Week 3, the Penn State Nittany Lions return home to Beaver Stadium to Happy Valley to take on a Kent State Golden Flashers team that got destroyed, like torn into a bajillion pieces and burned up by Tennessee. Tennessee, take a listen to this. And Kent State, by the way, is 0-3. They lost to St. Francis, got blown out by Pitt, who hung 55 points on them. Against Tennessee, Kent State allowed 71 points. And 65 of them came in the first half. Tennessee had 740 total yards, 32 first downs, and Kent State only had 112 total yards, yet had 28 minutes of possession. So they just wanted to get out of there and prevent Tennessee from hinging 100 on them, which was easily possible. Kent State, the only positive that you have about them is really nothing at all, outside of the fact that their quarterback at least has a passer rating of above 100 and is thrown for more touchdowns than interceptions. Everything else about this team is gutter trash. So obviously, Penn State is favored to win. They're favored by 49 points to win. The last time these two teams met was in 2018 when Penn State's offense was questionable. It was the year following Joe Moorhead departing for Mississippi State, where he was the head coach for 2018 and 2019, and Trace McSorley had a down year in 2018, his final year with the Nittany Lions, and they still hung 63 points and only allowed 10 to this Kent State team back in 2018. Of course, these two programs are very different compared to where they were a little over a half decade ago, which is when 2018 was, but it's still intriguing to always bring up the history behind these matchups, because you learn whether it's the first time these two teams have met or if they meet frequently. And these two teams don't meet that frequently, and when they do, Penn State kills them. But before I dive into some things that Penn State is going to want to look out for this weekend in terms of what should they focus on, what do they need to improve at, and what you should expect to see in terms of dominance from this Penn State team, I want you, yes you, to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when we release new content here on College Football with Sam. Comment your thoughts down below, and again, share this video around to other college football fanatics like us who are passionate about the game and invested in it. Liking the video, subscribing to the channel, clicking that notification bell, joining the Discord server via the link in the description or down below in the pinned comment, joining the Patreon page. The link's also in the description or down below in the pinned comment. All of those things help support the channel monetarily. They help bring more viewers into our community. They strengthen our community, and any money we earn, whether through Patreon, Super Chats, ad revenue, it's mostly reinvested into College Football with Sam, as I want to grow this channel into being the best college football channel on YouTube, and we pride ourselves already on being the best Big Ten football channel on YouTube. There will be a giveaway at 20,000 subscribers, by the way, and also an additional giveaway for the first video that reaches 1,000 likes. And last but not least, if you want access to my Week 4, not Week 3, but Week 4 college football picks, although Week 3 is also posted there, sign up as an All-American or Heisman member on my Patreon page. I do picks against the spread and picks for the winner for all games featuring Power 4 teams. But let's get back to this game here. Penn State, I thought, had a pretty flukish performance against Bowling Green 2 weeks ago, where the Nittany Lions won 34-27. They almost shut out Bowling Green in the second half. Penn State won the turnover battle. They had a little over 50 yards over Bowling Green. They had one additional first down. Penn State was able to hit explosive plays, averaging over 5 yards per carry and over 10 yards per pass attempt. But Bowling Green was able to really, I would say, mess with their consistency. Penn State was 2 of 9 on third down, and they had 7 penalties for 76 yards, the Nittany Lions did, and they did throw 1 interception. Bowling Green also had a 4-minute TOP advantage. I think Bowling Green with Connor Bazelak and also Harold Fannin Jr., their starting quarterback and their NFL-level starting tight end, make for an insane offense relative to the expectations you have and that I have and anyone has for a MAC school. And I think what Penn State did against West Virginia is more indicative of who they are. But the Mountaineers also allowed a gob of points and yards and ultimately choked their game against Pitt. So that West Virginia win does not look nearly as impressive as it did after week 1. Nonetheless, I am still high on this Penn State team, and so are the analytics. In FPI, Penn State is viewed as 17.7 points better than the average college football team. Per Bill Connolly's S&P Plus, they're viewed as 20.5 points better than the average college football team. Kent State, meanwhile, is one of the worst teams in all of college football. They are viewed as nearly 4 touchdowns inferior to the average college football team per both FPI, where they're negative 27.2 points worse, and S&P Plus, where they're negative 26.8 points worse. So safe to say, Penn State is a massive favorite here. They should win this game in a blowout, and it's another opportunity for Penn State, same against Bowling Green, where they didn't pass the test, but they won. And this early, I think a win is a win. And West Virginia, who doesn't look that strong, but Penn State passed that test with flying colors. It's another opportunity for Penn State to improve, for them to get into rhythm. And like I mentioned in my Ohio State versus Marshall video, just an hour or so ago, just a few minutes ago even, I think that the great staffs, the elite staffs, I think Kotelnicki's an elite offensive coordinator. I do think Tom Allen's a good defensive coordinator. And James Franklin's problem at Penn State's with game management. It's not with roster building or hiring staffs. They will rotate players. They will discover what they have in their depth. Consequentially, what upside exists on the roster overall and at the different positions. So expect to see Penn State not necessarily call off the dogs, but they're going to be putting in backups and third stringers. And they may keep the playbook vanilla. They may also try some new things that are not so obvious. I look also at take a look at this. Penn State's points per play margin is not that impressive. It isn't. It's a 0.28. 0.280 points per play margin, which means in Penn State's games so far, on average, they score about a little over a fourth of a point more per play than their opponent does per play. I think Bowling Green's a great MAC school. In fact, I'm thinking they'll cover against Texas A&M this Saturday. But still, that was not a good game. And against West Virginia, they had a lights-out performance, but you average those two together, and Penn State's dominant, but they're not dominant like, Tennessee or Ohio State. Not even as dominant as Georgia, despite their struggles against Kentucky. You look at Kent State, though, and everyone is dominating Kent State. This is the beauty of looking at something like points per play margin. Kent State gives teams this illusion that they are national title contenders. And I say that because Pittsburgh's not a national title contender, but they hung 55 on Kent State and had a lot of explosive plays and a ton of success. Kent State, on an average basis, is scoring more than a half a point fewer than their opponent does per play. Exactly negative 0.562 points per play margin, which is just crazy. Again, this means Kent State is getting dominated on an average basis by their opponents. Kent State's a team that could easily go 0-12 just by looking at how they've performed through 3 games, their talent. I look at the strength of schedule that Kent State's played. It's very tough, but even factoring that in, they're still a very bad football team. I mean, when you lose to St. Francis from Pennsylvania, yikes, no further questions, and they're outside of the top 130 in game control. Penn State's 33rd in game control with the 85th toughest strength of schedule, which is tougher than a lot of their Big Ten comrades, but it's not like they've played any team who is close to a top 25 team, and West Virginia showed last week. Indeed, along with how they played against Duquesne and also how they played against Penn State, they're not a top 25 team, and at this point they're not even close. So With Penn State, what you want to do is you do want to be more dominant in this game. I mean, you want to come out, you want to cover the spread, you want to get a shutout over Kent State if you can, especially factoring in the struggles defensively against Bowling Green, which were much stronger than Penn State struggles offensively, and they did have struggles offensively. I think that pass defense and consistency on offense, like not needing explosive plays to score, but being able to go on a 7-8 minute drive with over 10 plays, a pass that doesn't exceed 20 yards, a rush that doesn't exceed 10 yards, and being able to do that and still score a touchdown, that's critical. I mean, Kotelnicki's done a phenomenal job of making Penn State's offense explosive. What he is still trying to fix, and I think this shows that last season, Penn State's offense could have been a lot better, but it didn't have the capability of being elite. I think you're seeing that the issues with Penn State's offense are deeper than explosive plays. And I think everyone knew that. I just think you're seeing that right now. It's the same thing I say with DeAnton Lynn at USC, although Penn State's offense last year was miles better than USC's defense. You cannot fix what is busted in year one, especially this early in the season. And with Penn State and what they have at wide receiver, which is not the talent Ohio State has, or what Texas has, or USC or Oregon, and the fact that they did lose production on the offensive line shows that, well, yeah, they're not going to become a top 5 offense immediately or the number 1 offense immediately. But with consistency, combined with the explosiveness that they've showcased, they could be a very good offense this year. And for the defense, it's the same thing. They're a little thin at secondary. KJ Winston is going to be out for some time. But you do have players like Zaki Wheatley and A.J. Harris at linebacker. There's Kobe King, Tony Rojas, who's continuing his great trajectory from what he had last year when he played as a freshman, and I think was a freshman All-American. And Penn State's defensive line, I think, is ridiculously good. I don't think Penn State's defensive line is a problem at all. So pass defense should be an area of focus, and consistency on offense, getting long drives, not just relying on the big play, making sure, Drew Aller, for example, in his first 2 games has not had more than 20 passing attempts in a single game. They're spoon-feeding him throws. I wonder if it would be a good idea for Penn State in a game like this, or in one of their weaker Big Ten matchups like against UCLA, if they just had Aller try and pass it for 30 times or more and see how he looks there. Because against Ohio State, and if Penn State were playing Michigan and Michigan improves, or if they're playing Oregon and Oregon improves, he may have to pass in these bigger games for more than just 20 attempts per game. So I'm curious to see. Overall, though, I do think Penn State covers. I think they win. I'm picking a 59-0 shutout because I think that Penn State's defense is as good as Tennessee's, if not better. I just think they had an off game against a Bowling Green team who's criminally underrated. Not top 25 by any means, and Penn State should have performed better, but I do think it was a fluke game similar to Michigan's flukish performance against Bowling Green last season. And Kent State is just terrible. I think Penn State, you'll see explosive plays. I don't know how much consistency you'll see because Kent State's defense is awful, but you'll probably see some of it because, the defense is awful. What I meant a few seconds ago is Kent State's defense is so bad that even if Penn State is consistent on offense, it may not mean all that much. It'll mean something, but it won't mean the world. It's like USC rushing for close to 300 yards against Utah State, or Michigan running for over 300 yards on Arkansas State. That could mean something, and it's good, but how much does that mean, especially when it relates to big games? I don't know. I do think Penn State's the second best team in the Big Ten, and I think really only Oregon's close, and then obviously Ohio State I think is number 1. Everyone else is behind them. Penn State and Oregon are the next closest teams who could compete with Ohio State in my mind. With USC, with Michigan, with everyone else, I just have to see more out of them. And I think you'll see how good Penn State is in this game where they cover, they win 59-0. I don't know if it'll be as dominant as the Tennessee performance, probably not, because Penn State will operate at a slower tempo and slower pace than Tennessee will, but it'll be a dominant win for the Nittany Lions nonetheless. They'll move on to 3-0, and the team will get better and deeper and have a greater idea of where everything stands, and so will we. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment your thoughts on this video down below. Thanks to Crash2488 and Brasco Rascal for being Heisman members and sponsoring this video and channel. Thanks to Chris Lane, Conolulu OH, Ismar, Tyler Nye, and Jolton Kush for being All-American members. And thanks to John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Austin Christmas, and Janisha Cockrell for being All-Conference members. Have a great day, guys. And if you want to support the channel, check out my Patreon page, my merchandise store via the links in the description or down below in the pinned comment. Have a great day. Go Golden Flashers and go Nittany Lions.